to unlock the secrets of the Gaul. This film has never been seen before, and few knew of its existence. It records the last voyage of the Hull super trawler, the Gaul, in the winter of 1974. The Gaul was one of the most modern fishing boats in the world. She had every up-to-date safety feature and was considered virtually unsinkable. Yet just days after this film was shot, in a force 9 gale in the Arctic seas some 60 miles north of Norway, she vanished. No mayday was sent and no bodies were found. 36 crewmen were lost without trace.
My mum picked the paper up and she said, "Oh, there's a trawler missing." She said, "I read it on the placards in town this afternoon." And then when she read it, she noticed she'd had a ship.
My dad should never have been on that ship. He'd signed on another one. And then he'd signed off and signed back on because he wanted to be with all his mates. And that's how we went with all his mates.
You just need to know. And I don't think that's what a lot of people understand. You know, they've been for so long.
We just want to know. After 23 years, we have a right to know.
In those 23 years, the Hull fishing industry has been decimated, but the families who lost men on the Gaul are still waiting for an answer to their questions. How and where did their loved ones die? But still, the authorities refuse to do the thing that might make an answer possible. They refuse to look for the wreck. As recently as last year, the Ministry of Defence said,
because of the limited information about the Gaul's position when she went down, it would be necessary to search hundreds, probably thousands of square miles of seabed. The area is renowned for bad weather and littered with wartime and other wrecks. A search would inevitably cost a great deal in both time and money. In the circumstances, it would not be possible to divert Ministry of Defence resources to such an exercise.
but is the MOD telling the truth? Or could there be another explanation for the government's reluctance to locate the wreck? Could there be something in the relatives' growing conviction that the government has something to hide? Hammerfest, Norway, a fishing town some 250 miles beyond the Arctic Circle. We've come here to investigate rumours that shortly after the Gaul was lost, a Norwegian trawler, the Riro, had reported a sonar reading showing an obstruction on the seabed, some 60 miles to the north of Norway.
This is the original chart.
One of the crew who located that obstacle was a young Englishman.
Obviously, we thought we should notify somebody, and the skipper did contact some authorities. I'm not quite sure who it was, but they got a very cool response. There's no real interest shown for the fact that we might have found the gold.
So what's going on? We begin to compile reports from other ships too. Some are sonar readings, others instances of trawls caught in obstacles on the seabed. The positions are widely scattered, many several miles distant, but they are enough for us to construct a possible search area, several kilometres square and in an area of inhospitable sea some 1,000 feet deep. Could the wreck of the Gaul really be in this area? There's only one way to find out. To do this job, considered too expensive for the British Navy, we link up with a small group of Norwegian deep-sea specialists who've transformed a former ferry, the Risøy, into a state-of-the-art underwater survey vessel. With bad weather forecast, there's only a short window of opportunity, almost certainly our last chance before the harsh storms of winter. We set sail for our target, the Arctic seas to the far north of Norway. We've brought several passengers with us, including Mason Redfern and Walter Lewis, two of Hull's most experienced former skippers. And Carol Radford, who lost her brother on the Gaul.
More or less every day of your life you sort of, think about them and think, well, I'll just wonder where they are.
Her husband Jack was a crew member on the Gaul's second last voyage.
I lost 3 good personal friends, and then there must have been half the crew on it that I sailed with the trip before. It was also good shipmates.
The next morning, after some anxious moments, the weather begins to calm. It looks like a search will be possible. Christian Lissam goes down to supervise the preparations for the launch of a device called a side-scan sonar, with which we will map the seabed below in search of any readings which could indicate a wreck. We are now in the heart of the Barents Sea, an area whose location has developed an increasing significance in this mystery. Because when the Gaul was lost, these appropriately Arctic seas lay at the heart of the Cold War tensions between West and East. Here, both above and below water, the nuclear forces of NATO played their deadly game of tig with the Soviet Northern Fleet. It was not surprising then that this place held a particular fascination for military intelligence gatherers of the West and the East.
You must know the strategy of that time. First of all, we had very important bases in Murmansk and Archangel, particularly in Murmansk. Secondly, one of the schemes of the possible nuclear war was through the Northern Pole. And the idea was that our submarines with nuclear missiles will go to the north, and this is the shortest way to hit America. I think it would be foolish not to spy in this strategic area. If I were the British MI6 man, I would spy there, of course.
By midday, we've reached the fishing banks in the heart of this Cold War battleground, and the crew prepare to launch the towfish containing the side-scan sonar. It was here that the Gaul vanished, but could there be a Cold War connection? Inevitably, in the absence of any other explanation, suspicions grew. In the days and weeks that followed the loss, the relatives became aware of a strange and persistent rumour. A rumour suggesting that some Hull trawlers, and perhaps even the Gaul herself, had been involved in spying on Soviet activities in the Barents Sea. The reaction of the authorities was emphatic. The official inquiry dismissed the suggestion, and Bill Rogers, then a defence minister, said, "I can assure you that the British trawler fleet is not involved in any way in intelligence gathering." The trouble is that, as we have established, that is simply untrue.